What a woman's silence means in a relationship. In relationships, communication plays a pivotal role. Whether it's in romantic relationships, friendships, or family dynamics, understanding the nuances of how individuals express themselves is essential for a deeper connection. However, not all communication happens through words. Silence, especially in women, can carry a multitude of meanings, many of which are layered and complex. When a woman becomes silent in a relationship, it can be puzzling for her partner. Silence might be misinterpreted, leading to unnecessary misunderstandings or hurt feelings. To truly understand the meaning of a woman's silence, it's important to look at the context, her emotional state, and the dynamics of the relationship. Silence does not always mean the same thing for every woman, nor is it always an indicator of something negative. It could indicate anything from contemplation to frustration, or even a deliberate choice to withhold her thoughts. 1. Silence as a response to emotional overload. One of the most common reasons for a woman's silence is emotional overload. This can happen when she feels overwhelmed by the emotional demands of a relationship or life in general. Whether it's work stress, family issues, or simply being spread too thin, the weight of multiple responsibilities can result in a need for quiet reflection. In such cases, her silence is not necessarily an attempt to distance herself, but rather an attempt to cope with her emotions. Women, by nature, tend to be emotional creatures who often process their feelings through talking. However, when overwhelmed, they may feel that speaking is too much of an effort or that no words could adequately convey how they feel. In these moments, silence becomes her way of regrouping, protecting herself, and finding inner peace before engaging in a conversation. If a woman goes quiet in these circumstances, it's important not to force her to talk. Instead, give her the space she needs to process. Offering understanding and patience shows that you respect her emotional process and support her well-being. 2. Silence is a sign of disappointment or hurt. In a romantic relationship, silence can often signify that a woman is hurt or disappointed. This might happen after an argument or when her feelings have been disregarded. Women often communicate their needs and feelings, and when these are not acknowledged, it can lead to emotional withdrawal. When she becomes silent, it might not be out of spite, but because she's deeply hurt by the situation and doesn't know how to express it. Silence in this case acts as a defense mechanism. Instead of confronting a partner with their hurt or disappointment, a woman might withdraw to protect herself from further emotional harm. This can be particularly true if she feels vulnerable or if the relationship has a history of conflict where speaking out could lead to more arguing or hurtful words. It's critical for a partner to recognize this kind of silence and gently approach the situation. The key is to acknowledge the hurt and create a safe space for her to express herself. Pushing her to talk too soon might escalate the tension, so offering her time and space is often the best course of action. 3. Silence as a request for space. Another meaning of silence in a relationship is a woman's desire for space. Everyone, regardless of gender, needs personal space and time to themselves. However, women in particular can be more attuned to the emotional dynamics in a relationship and might need solitude in order to regain their sense of individuality and mental clarity. If a woman becomes silent, it may be because she is trying to regain balance or process her own thoughts away from the shared space of the relationship. This type of silence is healthy and indicates that she values her autonomy and needs time to recharge. In these moments, it's important for her partner to respect her desire for space and not feel threatened by it. In many relationships, space is crucial for the long-term health of both individuals. A woman's silence in these situations shouldn't be seen as a withdrawal from the relationship, but rather a way to maintain a healthy sense of self within it. 4. Silence as a reaction to disrespect. One of the more painful reasons for a woman's silence is when she feels disrespected in the relationship. Silence may occur when a woman no longer feels heard, valued, or appreciated. This often follows patterns of neglect or emotional disregard, where her words have been dismissed, ignored, or belittled. In these instances, silence can serve as a passive form of protest against the disregard for her feelings. Women, like men, want their emotions and concerns to be acknowledged and validated. When these needs are consistently unmet, a woman may resort to silence because she feels that expressing herself no longer serves any purpose. Silence in this situation is often a form of self-protection. It is a way of coping with emotional hurt and disappointment. The most effective response to this kind of silence is to openly communicate with the woman about how she is feeling and make an effort to genuinely understand her perspective. It's important to avoid being defensive or dismissive, as this will only reinforce her sense of disrespect. Acknowledging her feelings and offering sincere apologies or solutions to rectify the situation can help break the silence and restore connection. 5. Silence is a sign of growing emotional distance. A woman's silence may indicate that she is emotionally withdrawing from the relationship. This could happen for a variety of reasons, such as a lack of fulfillment, an ongoing emotional disconnect, or a buildup of unresolved issues. Over time, silence can become a reflection of emotional distance, where she no longer feels the need to communicate because her emotional investment in the relationship has diminished. In this case, her silence is a form of distancing herself, and it often represents the start of a deeper disengagement. If this silence persists for a long time, it could signal that the relationship is in trouble and needs serious attention. A partner who notices this kind of silence should address the issue head-on, ask open-ended questions, and work together to understand the root cause of the emotional distance. If the emotional disconnection is not addressed, it could lead to the eventual breakdown of the relationship. However, if both partners are willing to work through the issues, the silence can be used as an opportunity to have honest and vulnerable conversations that may bring the relationship back on track. 6. Silence as a way of avoiding conflict. In some relationships, a woman may choose silence as a way to avoid conflict or escalation. If there is tension or an ongoing argument, she may retreat into silence rather than engage in a back and forth that could lead to more hurt feelings. In these cases, silence acts as a way to diffuse a situation and prevent further emotional damage. However, while this can be a temporary coping mechanism, prolonged silence in the face of conflict can be harmful. It may lead to unresolved issues that fester beneath the surface, creating tension and resentment. If a woman remains silent during an argument, it's important to respect her need for space but also to ensure that the issues aren't left unaddressed. Encouraging open communication, even if it takes time, is vital for resolving conflicts in a healthy way. 7. Silence is a sign of indifference or detachment. In some cases, a woman's silence may indicate that she no longer cares about the relationship. This can happen when emotional investment is lost, or when the woman feels that the relationship no longer serves her needs. Silence in this context is a passive form of disengagement, where the woman might not feel motivated to initiate conversation or engage with her partner in a meaningful way. If a woman seems indifferent or detached, her silence might be an indication that she is no longer emotionally connected to the relationship. In these cases, silence is not a cry for attention or a request for change. Rather, it reflects the absence of desire to maintain the relationship. If this kind of silence becomes pervasive, it's important for both partners to assess the relationship's viability and have an open conversation about the future. 8. Silence as a means of self-reflection. A woman's silence is not about the relationship at all, but about herself. It could be a time for introspection, self-reflection, or personal growth. Women, like men, need space to reflect on their own goals, dreams, and desires, and silence provides a moment to disconnect from the external world and focus inwardly. During these times, a woman may not want to discuss her thoughts or feelings with others because she is still processing them internally. Her silence is a healthy and necessary part of her self-care and personal development. Partners should recognize this as an opportunity to give her the time and space to grow individually, which can ultimately strengthen the relationship. Conclusion: a woman's silence in a relationship is multifaceted, and its meaning can vary greatly depending on the situation. While it may sometimes be an expression of hurt, frustration, or disappointment, it can also be a necessary retreat for emotional processing, self-reflection, or a request for space. The key to understanding her silence lies in recognizing the context and dynamics of the relationship. Rather than jumping to conclusions, it's important for partners to communicate openly and with empathy, understanding that silence doesn't always indicate a problem, and that it can sometimes be a healthy response to emotional overload or conflict will foster a stronger, more connected relationship. By being patient, attentive, and supportive, partners can navigate silence together and use it as an opportunity for growth, understanding, and deeper connection. If you find the video useful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel.